What's up YouTube, Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with another subscriber requested EDH deck tech. One of our subscribers, Nick Gish, wanted to see our take on an Elesh Norn Grand Cenobite EDH deck. Being that it is Elesh Norn, it will be mono white. But let's take a look at the general. So we have Elesh Norn Grand Cenobite. She is one of the new Phyrexian Praetor generals. She's a 7-cost 4/7 with Vigilance, and she gives all other creatures you control +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control -2/-2. So not only does she have like a pseudo wrath built in, but she gives your guys a +2/+2, which the +2/+2 on your guys and the -2/-2 on their guys gives you basically a 4-point swing, and that is a very, very potent ability. And she has Vigilance, so basically you would need a 7/7, which would then become a 5/5 to be able to block her and survive. Anything smaller than a 7/7, when it blocks her, just dies. And that's a lot, because when she has Vigilance, you can just swing every turn. So she is a pretty potent general. So let's take a look at the deck. We start off with Arcane Lighthouse to make your opponent's guys lose hexproof. Drifting Meadow, because we can cycle it if we don't need it later on. And Marry the Sky Ruin, as it should probably be in every mono white deck. Ghost Quarter to be able to destroy a land. Karoo, because when Karoo enters the battlefield, we can tap it for 2 mana. Well, we have to. It's one of the original bounce lands. When we put it into play, we have to return a plane we control to our hand, but this can tap for 2, and that's pretty cool later on. Killjoy Outpost lets us create 1/1 white soldiers. Token production is nice when you have an Anthem on your general. Myriad Landscape, which will let you sacrifice this to rip out 2 planes. New Benalia lets you scry when it comes in. Nykthos will let us generate a ton of white mana. 24 planes. Rogue's Passage to give our general unblockable. Secluded Step will let us cycle. Strip Mine to destroy pesky lands. Terrain Generator, just to put another land into play, gives us a little bit of excel. And Windburst Heights, because with a token generating general, well, she's not token generating herself, but with a general that we're going to have a token generation theme with, we can activate this fairly easily. For our artifacts, we run a Chroma's Memorial, because why not give your guys Flying First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and Protection from black and red? Why not? Argentum Armor, to let us destroy permanents that we can't destroy with other means. Cage Sun for the mana. Dolmen Gate, so we can just swing away every turn. Extraplanar Lens for the mana. Lightning Breeze, mostly to put in our general, give her Shroud. The Haste is also very nice, but it's mostly to be able to protect our general. Mind's Eye for the card draw. Norn's Annex, because if you're running Elesh Norn, you should run her Annex. But it's also a very potent Ghostly Prison type ability, whereas your opponents can only attack you if they pay a Phyrexian white, which means if your opponents aren't playing white, they have to pay 2 life to attack you, and that is pretty powerful. Permadian, again, a little bit of being able to make our kind of like almost like a pseudo mana rock, really. You play this and then all your white spells cost 1 less. It ends up probably generating in the end for you more mana than a mana rock would, because you can cast 2, 3, 4 spells a turn that all cost 1 less, and that's pretty nice. Skull Clamp, to be able to use it to sacrifice our guys, or we'll put it on our guys, sacrifice them, and be able to go ahead and draw some cards. Soul Ring, because it's Soul Ring, and Thran Dynamo for the mana excel. For our sorceries, Austere Command, because it has 4 amazing modes. Conqueror's Pledge for some token generation. Entreat the Angels for more token generation. Gift of Estates is pretty good. If an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for up to 3 playing cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. This is going to make sure that you don't miss your land drops. And that is a super thing, but it also takes 3 lands out of your deck, so it's 3 lands you now won't draw later on. And that's also something to consider as well. One of the things that makes Mana Ramp so good is that not only are you putting land onto the board, you won't draw it later. And this is some pseudo land ramp. It really just lets us hit our land drops. Martial Coup, because it is a sweeper as well as token generation. Mass Calcify is going to destroy everything we don't control, unless your opponent's playing white, but destroy all non-white creatures is pretty awesome. Nomad's Assembly, more token generation, and Rout, a sweeper that we can play as an instant if we pay an additional 2, and also it features Elesh Norn on the new art, so that is one of the reasons why it was an auto-include. For our Planeswalkers, we run Elspeth, Sun's Champion, mostly because she is going to produce guys and destroy stuff. And then we have Elspeth Teriel to gain 1 life for each creature we control, and then to minus and put 3 guys in, or -8 and destroy all other permanents other than her, lands and tokens. We're really just going to use her mostly. Oh, she doesn't appear to want to pop up anymore. There she goes. To be able to generate creatures and gain life. For enchantments, Cathar's Crusade, because if you hate math, you love this card. Whenever a creature comes in, you put a +1/+1 on each other creature you control. So if you play something like a Conqueror's Pledge where you put in 6 guys, each of those 6 guys is going to see the other 5 entering, and all of your guys come in with 6 +1/+1 counters, as well as putting 6 +1/+1 counters on every other creature you control. That's pretty cool. Then we have Ghostly Prison, another protection type enchantment. Anytime you want to attack us, you have to pay 2 mana. Gift of Immortality, put it on our general, and she basically sort of becomes unblockable. Indestructible, kind of. It's a pseudo-indestructible where when she dies, she comes back to the battlefield, and then return Gift of Immortality at the end of turn. So it's pretty cool. Grasp of Fate with some Exiling, Luminarch Ascension to generate some angels. Marshal's Anthem is pretty cool because we get to return some creatures from the graveyard as well as it being an anthem. So that is very nice. Mobilization gives all of our soldiers vigilance, and it's a token generator. Oblivion Ring for some exile. Shielded by Faith to give our general indestructible because we do want her sticking around. And True Conviction to give our creatures double strike and lifelink. That's very, very potent. For instance, we have Crib Swap for the exile. Return to Dust to be able to get rid of those pesky artifact enchantments. Secure the ways to put X/1/1 white warrior creature tokens onto the battlefield. And Swords of Plowshares because it is Swords of Plowshares. Now for our creatures. Angel of the Dire Hour. When Angel of the Dire Hour enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, exile all attacking creatures. So this is a really cool card. One of those, it's a really cool ability, especially to have on white. Angelic Skirmisher at the beginning of each combat, choose First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink, and all your creatures get that, so you can just see whatever would be most fit for you. Brian Mask, because he's awesome. When he attacks, you get a guy. When he blocks, you get a guy. He has Vigilance, so he can do both. He's really good. And the tokens he brings also have Vigilance, so that's really cool. Burnished Heart. 3 cost 2/2 Elk. Pay 3, sacrifice it to search for 2 basics. It's going to fill a similar spot that Gift of Estates will, where we're going to be taking lands out of our deck. And that's really what it's for. Captain of the Watch. He is an Anthem, and he also brings in 3 white guys, some 3 1/1 white soldiers, and he has Vigilance, so he's really cool and gives your other soldiers Vigilance. Then we have Celestial Crusader. He gives all your other white creatures +1/+1, so he is a built-in Anthem. He also has Flash and Split Second and Flying, so he's pretty cool. Then we have Krovax. He's sort of like the weaker version of our general. Whereas he's a 6 cost instead of a 7, a 4/4 instead of a 4/7. He gives all other white creatures +1/+1 and all non-white creatures -1/-1. So that's pretty cool. And then you can also pay 2 life to return him to your hand, so he will really never die. He's very hard to kill. Then we have Darian, King of Killjoy. He's really cool because whenever we take damage, he will spit out a soldier equal to the amount of damage taken. And if you have something down that will gain you life whenever a creature comes in, you will erase the damage. Now, that doesn't make you unkillable. If you were to take 40 damage, the 40 damage checks, puts his ability on the stack, and then you get the 40 guys after, so then you're already dead. That being said, if you don't take lethal damage, he will then bring in tokens and erase the damage if you have a life gain outlet. 8.5 Tails to generate protection is just awesome. Emeria Shepherd, if you're running mono white, you might as well be running Emeria Shepherd because the landfall triggers to return stuff to your hand, and if it's a plane, it goes to the battlefield, and that's pretty cool. Oh, we're all over the place here. Geist Honored Monk, 5 cost star with Vigilance. Her power and toughness equal the number of creatures you have on the board, and when she comes in, she brings 2 1/1 white spirits. I've seen her become like a 40/40, and it is just horrifying and mean and angry. Grand Abolisher will give us a little bit of protection from our opponent. Heliod, because he gives all other creatures we control Vigilance, and he can spit out tokens. Hero of Bladehold. Whenever Hero of Bladehold attacks, put 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield, so some token generation. Jazal Goldbane. He has First Strike. And attacking creatures you control get +X until end of turn, when X is the number of attacking creatures you control. So you attack with 10 guys, you can give them +10/+10. That's pretty cool. comic guide, a 5-cost 2/2 res spell on a stick that is a body, so she can block later on. She's very, very potent, and her res is not to be underestimated. Knight Captain of Eos, when he comes in, he brings 2 1/1 white soldiers, and you can pay 1, sacrifice a soldier, and prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to you this turn. This guy is a monster. You drop him, and then you have something like Mobilization, where you can generate a soldier. So you can use Mobilization to generate a soldier for 3 mana, use 1 white mana, sacrifice that creature, and you are now almost unhurtable. So it's really good synergy there. Knight of the White Orchid, 2-cost 2/2 with first strike. When he enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for plans and put it onto the battlefield. That is very, very cool. He does what he does well. Mentor of the Meek. Whenever another creature with power 2 enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 if you do, draw a card. He's really great because we're going to be generating a bunch of tokens, and we're going to be able to draw a bunch of cards off it. He does become a little less effective if we have our general out, because our general will make it so none of our guys are actually 2 power or less. That being said, early game, before you can get your general out, if you were to drop him on turn 3 because he costs 3, then turn 4, 5, and 6 you drop some 2-drop guys, you're going to draw some cards off him, then you drop your general, and those cards are now big threats. So that's really, really good. Mother of Runes. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Very, very potent card with a very potent ability. Audric, Master Tactician. I think he's really underrated most of the time, but this guy is a monster. He's a 4-cost 3/4 first strike, so that's pretty cool. But when Audric, Master Tactician, and at least 3 other creatures attack, you choose which creatures block this turn and how those creatures block. So basically you can say you're not blocking and let all your damage go through. That is a very good ability. Revelark is going to fill a similar role to our comic guide, where Revelark is a 5-cost 4/3 with flying and evoke, but when Revelark leaves the battlefield, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, he's not bad, especially when you're running a lot of smaller guys that run utility abilities. But notice how it says when he leaves the battlefield, not when he dies. So if he got flickered or just bounced to your hand, he actually kicks off his ability. So that's really cool. Solemn Simulacrum comes in, 2 for a land. When he dies, draw a card. He well known and does what he does well. Sun Titan. Sun Titan's good because he can res anything with 3 mana cost or less, which is probably, let's see here real quick. It's about 25-ish% of our deck, so a quarter of our deck he could res out, and that doesn't include our land, so he's probably closer to 50% of our deck he could res. But what makes Sun Titan really potent is that you can res things like your strip mines and your Ghost Quarter, so you can destroy your opponent's land, attack with Sun Titan, destroy another land, and just that you'll win that battle of attrition very quickly. And then to round out the deck, lastly, we have Sunblast Angel, a 6-cost 4/5 flyer. When she enters the battlefield, destroy all tapped creatures. This is good after your opponent alphas you, and then you're gonna wipe their board out. So yeah, that's the last of the deck right there. So this is the mono white deck led by Elesh, Norn, Cenobite for Nick Gish. It is a mono white deck. It is pretty creature heavy with a lot less on the spells, but it's mostly because the creatures all have sort of tech abilities that we want to take advantage of. Curves pretty nicely into 3, and then curves pretty nicely into 6, and then 7 mostly because of our general and a couple of our other guys. But generally by turn 5 and 6 you're dropping 2 or 3 spells a turn, and that is also pretty nice. Deck comes in at only $204 using TCG Mid, and I think a lot of that actually comes from Elesh Norn, who I believe is like a $20 card now. She may have dropped because she got reprinted. But that's it for the deck. So, Nick Gish, this is the deck you're looking for. I hope you enjoy it. I am Derek with Tap and Turn Gaming. I will catch you all later. Thanks a lot. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the flip side.